on, pig! Piggy! Come on, piggy!
Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. What's up everyone, I'm the Kaiji no Kami from the Toku and Animation News Network. Today I'm taking a look at Yakuza Kiwami 3. Ever since I played Yakuza 3 back in 2021, I really wanted to see it given the Kiwami treatment, as the game had a solid story that was bogged down by mediocre gameplay. Remaking the game would also allow them to expand on the villains, who were the weakest part to the story. RGG finally granted my wish, and here we are with another wonderful installment of the Yakuza franchise. But is it all it's cracked up to be? Well, yes. And no. The game has been met with some controversy due to the actor changes that occurred, which meant for some reason they had to fully change the character designs. As such, the character of Rikia, who had a distinct style thanks to looking like a Japanese Harry Osborn, now resembles every generic Japanese guy ever.
普段はカッコつけてるけど、たまにはイチャイチャしたいのよ。あんたたちそうだったの。
普段はカッコつけてるけど、たまにはイチャイチャしたいのよ。
あんたたちそうだったの。
Furthermore, the square head of one of the villains, Hamazaki, now looks like the actor associated with him, who was charged in Japan for assaulting a woman. That action alone has caused some massive backlash, and while I get it, it is what it is.
あなたもご存知の通り、あの男は一筋縄じゃいかない。その写真の男、可愛い面したあんちゃんは桐生の弟分でね。
It's kind of sad that drinking underage is seen far more criminal than beating a woman. With that said, I loved nearly every minute of Kiwami 3. It keeps the core story and expands on everything else. The game is set between Kamurocho and the Okinawan town of Ryukyu, which looks gorgeous in this updated version. I love the market. And the beach. Mechanically, it's a vast improvement over the original. The combat has been modernized to match the current games. It's fast, it's fluid, it's fun. Kiryu has two styles, the first being the typical dragon style, which is your standard hand-to-hand combat. The second, Ryukyu style, utilizes a variety of weapons like tonfas, nunchucks, sais, etc. And it is such a joy to paddle enemies with these attacks. It's also nice to not have my fun be ruined by being shot at. On the downside, the game nerfed the Tiger Drop attack, which used to be the creme de la creme attack in the Yakuza franchise. I'm also not a fan of the lackluster variety of heat attacks. There's still the fun one of throwing enemies off of a ledge, and slamming their face into a car. but ultimately, they're all as basic can be, which is a real shame considering 3 had some truly outstanding ones thanks to the revelation system that is gone from this version. Part of the issue may be the game has the most generic upgrade system, which may be my least favorite to date. Another disappointment comes down to the sub-stories. Since I did not play the original versions of 1 and 2, I cannot comment on whether or not they carried over every sub-story 1-to-1. I do know, however, that Kiwami 3 does not. The original game featured 100 sub-stories, and granted, many of them were mundane tasks. For example, it featured several chases against diner dashers, having to help someone find their lost cat, hunting down perverts or panic thieves, stopping the same person from killing themselves 3 times over, the worst of the worst being ones tied to a minigame you had to win at to move on. As such, I was glad to see Kiwami 3 remove or reduce many of those. The problem was, they decided not to adapt some of the truly outstanding ones. This includes the murder mystery, the one where Kiryu befriends a trans woman, the suicidal man from 2 returning with the girlfriend for a vacation, the ghost stories, the film shoot one, and the ones that added character development to Ricky and his buddy Mikio. What boggles my mind about losing these is what they were replaced with, as there is a mission of Kiryu meeting a fortune teller, and the entire story is stopping a guy from attacking her, and then her just expositing the plot to future games. That's it. There's no actual story to this sub-story, making it utterly pointless. Why did they choose to update the one about a kid's red balloon needing to be retrieved, or a guy who lied to his mom about running a successful business over the favorites I mentioned above? Why did they keep the sub-story about the morons who bump into people to extort them for money as 3 separate parts, but make the one where Kiryu had to talk someone out of killing themselves into one? Why did they create a new story about the Segway creator from the previous 2 games overdoing the ghost story? The Segway makes sense when you have a map as huge as the Hawaiian map, but not something as small as Rikyu and Kamurocho. I would have at least liked to have had one mission of chasing down a diner dasher. On the positive side, they improved the one where Kiryu needs to deliver soba noodles. And the one where Kiryu needs to deliver ice cream to some kids without dropping them. Though the story on that one doesn't make total sense because the mother ditched her kids across town.
力士の青空稽古だとあの張り手に巻き込まれたらアイスが蒸発するかもしれん避けながら進もう
One of the more interesting new ones involves Kiryu befriending some TV show host named Akko and having no idea who she is, as she is apparently some big name in this world. She interviews him to find something nice and local to feature on her show and sings karaoke because why not? Kyoru has to help her fight off some delinquents, and all is right with the world.
俺は一年中俺自身に絶望中ゴリ夢中を継続中青春の迷い子神様夢中中ハックヒット失望中夢行きの高速道路は大渋滞中実らも禁眼で歪んじゃって残像風やべえずっと迷走中で今月が終わるぞ積もり積もる煩悩鈍り鈍る本能間違っててもいいからさ汗ちょうだい君はどう生きるんだ誇りもしねえ人生が刻一刻と無駄遣いのまま終わりに向かってるぜヘイボーイ考えるんだその空っぽの脳みそでライナー見せろ絶望ちょっと燃やし尽くせゴミみたいな黒歴史光浴びず錆びついた胸の焼却炉で絶望の痛きからあいつらを見
It is pretty funny having a mission where Kyoru pisses off scammers by being technologically impaired.
Oi. Yeah.
Eto.
The Mars fighters return, and one of them gives a really hilarious comment about his blood pressure. Oh, and you obtain a new cell phone that includes an app where you can befriend people for prizes.
どうも通信よろしくバッチリだぞ
There's 60 people in Kamurocho and 40 in Rikyu.
洗練された美しいフォルム自由を手に入れたような拡張性ラララフォンはあなたの個性を表現できる最先端のキャンバス世界中の個性をつなぐ赤い糸通信機能搭載私たちがつなげたいのは電波ではなく思いです愛でつながる愛でつなげるラブリーテレフォン La 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 Mobile.
Another improvement is how they handled the story for Kyoru's orphanage. While I found it to be interesting in the original version, it brought the main story to a halt. Here, they made the Morning Glory stuff its own side story, allowing you to tackle everything at your own whim. It's been greatly expanded, having to run the orphanage like a business on top of earning the trust of every child under your care.
僕をバカにするのは構わないけど、朝顔や朝顔のみんなをバカにするのは許せない。
このクソガキ大人を舐めやがってぶん殴ってや
るおじさん
よく頑張ったなシロ子供の喧嘩に手出す気はねえが大人が絡むってんなら話は別だなんだてめえは
This includes cooking for them with a return of the Cooking Mama game.
さすがだね
よしよしこうかよしだ
すごいねおじさん
sewing for them in a very frustrating minigame.
曲がるまずいなビューティフル繊細かつ大胆にカーブが来るな
おじさん
気が緩んだな
曲がっておじさん大丈夫
縫い直したよれてく
おじさん
最後の仕上げだなんてことだ
おじさんおじさん
This is why I could never make my own cosplay. The Harvest Moon aspect from Ishin is back, with growing, selling, and trading your crops to improve the orphanage's upkeep. You can catch bugs, raise some animals, and congratulations to Shogi for no longer being the worst board game in the Yakuza franchise. I just don't understand how this new game, Dragon Reversi, is supposed to be played.
ここかな
ここだ
よし
どうだ
よっしゃ
ここだ
ここだ
よし
カード取って
どうだ
るここかな
よし
よし
ここだ
カード取ってる
どうだ
ここだ
よし
よし
どうだ
It's a game where you need to flip your opponent's coins, but none of it makes sense. Sometimes it will flip an entire row, sometimes not. Sometimes it will be straight across, sometimes diagonally. All I know is that the kids can't do their homework without Kyoru being there to answer the questions for them, but they're all masters of strategy when it comes to playing Dragon Reversi.
ここだ
どうだ
よし
カードもうない
どうだ
やった
よし
えい
ほら
やった
カードを取ったぜ
どうだ
ここだ
えい
ほら
どうだ
ほら
Another side story involves a Gale gang of bikers who are trying to protect Okinawa from vile villains from Tokyo. Here, Kyoru becomes the chairman of the gang because of course Kyoru does. You have to recruit countless members to grow the gang. You then take on other gangs to merge your team into one before heading out to Tokyo to take on the main baddies known as the Tokyo Night Terrors. Well, this is where things get a bit weird translation-wise. The jackets and signage of the opposing threat clearly reads as Nightmare. They even straight up say Nightmare when spoken in Japanese. However, the text has it translated to Night Terrors, and I don't know why.
その辺の甘っちょろい連中と一緒にしないでほしいな。
東京ナイトメア内地の
The series dives into three categories: small brawls, big brawls, and ones where you have to ride your bike to warehouses and help the teams you have divided everyone into win. Sometimes you may need to drive to the other side of the map to help a team that has getting their butts kicked. It's sometimes fun, but ultimately, it can get boring at times as it's the same thing over. The story follows the same path these stories have been following since Yakuza 0. You have to beat a big baddie, and then the one who's next in line, followed by the guy next in line to that, up until you reach the top of the food chain. I think it would have been neat had it included some racing aspects like the biker gang plot in Lost Judgment had. Winning every match opens up a battle against the Amon clan, which are a group of rejected Amons banding together. Speaking of mini-games, everything is here. Golf, shogi, karaoke, baseball, bowling, darts, spearfishing, the Coliseum, etc. If you want to obtain every member for the Gale Gang, you are going to have to play all of them to earn points that will allow you to purchase additional members. The Sega Arcade includes a few new games, like one where you have to move the analog sticks opposite each other as you're pushing a cart on railroad tracks. There's a few fighting games, including the one that seems to have fatalities, despite them not being treated like fatalities.
Round 2.
Seriously, how did she get up after that? And that?
Tokyo loses. Round 1. Let the action begin.
Dude got splattered, and yet here she is back as if nothing happened. Instead of the Sega Master System, you can now play the Game Gear and not have to worry about its 5-minute battery life. The Reaper missions from the original return in an expanded form. You obtain targets early on in the game, so you can take your time tackling them if you want, rather than waiting until Chapter 6 to gain access to the lot. The only downside is because they are given to you through your cell phone, you don't get to go inside the castle like you did in the original, which is a real shame since that was the only game that gave you access to that castle that is in the middle of Kamurocho. Despite my gripes about the sub-stories and heat moves, there is a lot of additional content to enjoy, making it bigger than the original. The story is nearly identical, which is both positive and negative, as it's nice to experience the story with modern gameplay, but at the same time, the villains are still the weakest aspect. Worse, they retcon the post-credit sequence.
Oh, come on!
With that said, the game has a side story called Dark Ties, focused on 3's big bad Yoshitaka Mine. You get to play as Mine as he is ousted by his board of directors and enters the world of the Yakuza. He has his own playstyle, which is fun, yet feels a bit limited compared to Kiryu's dragon style. Again, heat moves are limited. And I'm not a fan of the Dark Heart system that doesn't really seem to do much of anything. It doesn't even get its own finisher like Kiryu had. Some of the missing content, as it were, from the original Yakuza 3 can be found here as Mine's own sub-story revolves around improving the reputation of his buddy Kanda, which includes giving items to people, playing a game for someone, locating lost cats, stopping a panty thief named Lupanti, helping a hooker out.
Huh?
Mine is quite the dick, and we love him for it. Finding a car thief, and so on.
Eh? Eh?
Mine has his own version of the Colosseum as he finds himself in an underground arena where the rich and powerful pay to see people die. This includes regular fights on top of a dungeon crawler where you run through a dungeon to obtain chests and power-ups that will allow you to survive. Mine's story is pretty heartbreaking, however, it does feature a couple of plot holes, but I'll let you discover those for yourself. Finally, the soundtrack is as great as always. I just wish we could get some new music to this franchise, as all of the music sounds like a rehash at this point.
ろくなチームじゃねえんだろうな。てめえ、なめやがって。
いいぜ。俺たちの恐ろしさ教えてやる。お前ら、
宮内、はい、長谷部に連絡や。すぐに例の店潰しにかからせろ。はい、堀内、下。はい、峰に電話や。中国持って迎えに来い言うとけ。はい。
本国に帰って復活の機会を狙っていた。そこで目をつけたのが当時横浜の市街を仕切っていた東上会の三次団体浜崎組だったんだ。
Boss fights are fun. If you are new to the franchise, then Kiwami 3 is the version to play for the story. Just go and YouTube the original post-credit scene before you play 4. You will thank me for it. For as progressive as this version was, it was also a step backwards, and it didn't need to be. I'm now wondering if I truly needed a Kiwami 3. Actually, no. Fuck that version. I needed this. Until next time. Bye. Seriously, what is up with that stupid combat system, the guns in the original version? Like, what the hell is wrong with it? Who actually would find this version to be inferior to that when you get stunned every time you get hit in the old version? The combat system is so much better in this new version. Like, seriously, have anyone that hates this version even played the original recently? How can you possibly think this version is better? What the hell is wrong with you people?